On a wall in Pompeii, a weaver called Successus loves a barmaid called Iris. She was not interested. A rival scratched it up to mock him. That is a city talking, 2,000 years on. Every city on this list was once among the largest on Earth. Not one of them still exists. Some can still talk. Number 1 cannot say anything at all. Welcome to Ranked History, where we rank the past so you don't have to repeat it. Number 5. Pompeii, which can still introduce you to the people who lived there. A mountain went up. A Roman town went under. The ash held it. About 1,300 bodies have come out of the ground since. Most people got out. What the survivors did next is why this city is only number 5. They came back. The emperor sent officials and families moved back into the upper floors of their own buried houses. People were still living in the ruins into the 5th century. Then the address went quiet for 1,000 years. In the 1590s, an engineer cut a water channel straight through the buried city. In one side and out the other. His workmen came up through the floor of a town nobody had noticed losing. They did not recognize it. But the name never went anywhere. It sat in Roman poetry, and it sat on maps. The digging began in 1748. Nobody was finding a lost city. They were finding a known one, at an address people had stopped visiting. And then the walls started talking. The fruit sellers backing a man for magistrate. A gem cutter wishing another craftsman luck. A candidate's own grandmother out canvassing for him. Every other city here lost its people into anonymity, and most of them lost their names too. Pompeii is last because its people are still on the wall, signed. Number 4. This city can still tell you its name. It cannot tell you anybody who lived in it. It was the great port of Egypt before the famous city on the coast existed. Foreign ships stopped here. Their cargo was taxed here. The Egyptians called it Thonis. The Greeks called it Heracleion. Then the mud gave way. The delta had been settling for centuries, and at some point the waterlogged ground under the city simply failed. The geologists who studied it will not say how fast. It went down about 6 meters. The sea closed over it. And then the names carried on without the place. Thonis and Heracleion sat in different sets of records, so mapmakers drew 2 towns side by side. They kept doing it for centuries. They were still doing it in 1584. That map survives. Both names faithfully copied, for a place nobody could point to. In the year 2000, a survey found a temple under the bay. Beside it, face down in the mud, lay a slab of black granite. It was a royal decree, and it ended by saying where it had been set up, a town whose name is Thonis. The city had said its own name, and the 2 towns became one. That is everything it has left to say. A name and a customs post. No people at all. Number 3. Teotihuacan cannot tell us its name, its language, or one person in charge. Around 100,000 people lived here. It was one of the largest cities on Earth. A broad avenue, plastered pyramids, apartment blocks housing thousands. Then, about 1,500 years ago, the center burned. The fire was selective. Temples along the avenue were destroyed, and the houses were largely left alone. Whoever did this went after the institutions, not the population. The pyramids are still standing. Tourists walk around them every year, so we can measure the place to the centimeter, and we cannot ask it anything. Its descendants are still in the valley, its words are not. Nobody knows what language was spoken here, not even which family it belonged to. Nobody knows what the city was called. Teotihuacan is not its name. It is a word in Aztec, applied centuries after the fall. They were naming a ruin they had inherited, in a language its builders never spoke. And in all that digging, not one ruler has been named. Now, 1,000 kilometers away, in the Maya lowlands, there were scribes who did write things down. They wrote down the exact day that strangers arrived. They wrote the name of the man who came. Where he came from, they never said. Everything that points back to this city is inference, and the one place that could settle it is the one place that left nothing to read. Number 2. Sanxingdui left us faces, and not a single word. They cast bronze that nobody else on Earth was making. Faces near life-size, with pupils that stick out like cylinders. Masks wider than your shoulders. A tree of bronze taller than a man. Then they broke most of it, burned it, and buried it in pits. That looks like a sack. It was not. They did not die out. They moved down the plain and built a new capital. The proof is in the ground. One statue was rebuilt from pieces found in 3 different pits, and parts of it came up 35 years apart. Nobody scatters a single statue across 3 neat pits in a panic. They were not destroying these things. They were burying them. Most of the pits finished the same way. A layer of elephant tusks, burnt, laid over everything else like a lid, and they left no writing. None. Not one sign anywhere on the site. Later Chinese records remember a kingdom called Shu and a first king with bulging eyes. That is folklore, written 1,000 years after, and it names no city. So the bronze faces have bulging eyes, and there is nobody to ask. Sanxingdui is not this city's name either. It means 3 earth mounds. It is what the farmers nearby called the ridges in their fields. Number 1 can tell us nothing at all. 4,500 years ago, this was one of the largest cities on the planet. Streets on a grid, drains under the pavements, a well on nearly every block, bricks made to the same proportions for hundreds of miles, and no palace, no throne room, no royal tomb. In 100 years of excavation, not one image of a person in charge. Then the cities emptied. Slowly, the rivers moved, and urban life stopped being worth it. Then silence. No text in any language anywhere refers to this place. Not a chronicle, not a poem, not a rumor, not a complaint. There is writing on their seals. Nobody can read it. For 38 centuries, there was nothing above ground but a mound. It was dug in the 1920s. Local people knew the mound was there. Nobody on Earth knew there was a city inside it. Which brings us to the name. Mohenjo-daro is Sindhi, and it is modern, and it describes a hill, the Mound of the Dead. That is not what anyone called this place. It is what the place became. And the brick they uncovered is dissolving. Salt is eating it, season by season. The wells are lasting longest. They stand up out of the ruin like brick towers, a city with no name, turning back into the hill it was found in. So there it is, 5 of the biggest cities in the world, and this is what is left of them. We are good at recovering what a city did, and very bad at recovering who it was, which leaves one loose end. There is a city called Akkad. We named a language after it, and an empire. Nobody has stopped saying that name in 4,300 years, and nobody has ever found it. For a century and a half, people have proposed locations for it. Every one has been rejected. It is not on this list because you cannot rank a city you cannot dig. 25 centuries ago, a Babylonian king spent 3 years digging inside it, hunting for the foundation stone of a temple. He found it, and he wrote that this foundation must never be forgotten again. It was forgotten anyway. The temple went, and the city he was standing in went with it. And on a wall in Pompeii, a man scratched a joke about his rival's hopeless crush. Somebody scratched an answer underneath. That is still there. What lasts is almost never what somebody set out to save. Do you think I ranked this wrong? Tell me in the comments. Next time. The weirdest wars ever fought. One of them was against birds, and the birds won.